The time had come to do a few pieces of cleanup work in order to collect every weapon and buff and advantage that I could possibly muster against the final confrontation that awaited me. First was this chest that I had never actually opened in the shrine. I guess there's multiple shrines, aren't there? There's the Frost Giant Shrine, and then there's this shrine. How do you pronounce it again? The Takamagahara Shrine. Takamagahara. That's tough for me because that's the same vowel over and over and over again. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 6 vowels in that word. Takamagahara Shrine. Ugh. Anyway, I finally got the ring, so now my thrown weapons will be more potent. Next was the item that, in the first game, struck me as having the best sex appeal of all of your passive buffs. Oh yeah, the Spalder. And look at the way that this thing augments your weapon. Like, the sex appeal is even more than in the first game. It turns your weapon into this red, fiery, lashy thing. Using the whip with this Spalder equipped kind of makes you feel like a Balrog from Tolkien's Legendarium. I shall pass, Ian McKellen. It makes me regret that I didn't get this thing sooner. Not even just for the damage or making boss fights easier, but just because it is so slick. I love how your weapon looks with this thing. And then item number 3, something that I really should have had sooner for damage and boss fight purposes, the gauntlets. Which isn't at all a gauntlet, that's a bracer. Like, a gauntlet is an armored glove, right? And a bracer is like wrist armor or forearm armor. Did I mention that in the first game? GMA also suggested that I go find this piece of software. After looking through my software combination options, I came across this combination, which gives me 4 buffs, 3 of which I actually care about. One is the combination of Death Village and Lonely House Moving, which gives you longer invincibility frames. The second is Rose and Camellia plus Lonely House Moving, which gives you a one-time 32-point health restore if your life drops to 0. So it just kind of artificially increases your health bar a bit. And then finally, Mikuri Master and La-Mulana 2, which reduces damage from lava, laser beams, and some other crap by half. Oh, and apparently also Rose and Camellia plus Mikuri Master boost the damage of the knife, axe, rapier, and katana, but I ended up not really using that all that much. Having to charge in through the whole spiral hell approach every time you want to take an attempt on the 9th child seemed really tedious, but GMA assured me there is a shortcut. There it is. Which is fine, I guess, but at most that cuts out like the first third of the Hell Spiral approach. That didn't seem very worth it. Made me wish that there was a save point, like, very close to being directly outside of the final boss chamber. Oh. Thank you, Corpse of Ratatoskr. Alright, so enough preliminaries. I was armed to the teeth and incredibly angry and not wanting to take it anymore. So it was time to start taking attempts on the 9th child. This will be our opportunity to do some analysis on the final boss fight and its forms. So, the first form is really, really easy. So yeah, it stomps down on the ground. It'll cause 2 tentacles to pop up wherever you're standing. So it's just a matter of positioning such that you don't get pwned by the tentacles. Thank you, Japan. And then the first form goes down pretty easy. Second form is more tentacles, lots and lots of tentacles, where there are certain projectile emitters and a giant blade that tries to chop the crap out of you. But this one's also pretty easy. You just need to hunt down the face and whip the crap out of it, and it doesn't have that much health. The tentacles don't really have any danger of crushing you, so you can just treat them as more or less safe platforms, with the exception of not touching the projectile emitters or the blade that's trying to chop you in half. Next up, the third form is more obtuse. So the laser beams that get fired here don't last for very long, which means you can jump over them or easily sidestep them. It wasn't clear to me at first that you're supposed to ride the green tentacles up to the top, and it was definitely not clear to me what you were supposed to do to make this form vulnerable to attacks up at the ceiling of the arena. You're supposed to use the Sun and Moon mantra to repeal that mask. And then you can use... I prefer to use flares to just shoot it in the eyeballs over and over again until it dies. This form, too, does not have that much health, so it takes some practice to get through this form quickly, but once you do, it's not much trouble. And then finally, you get to go through the same rigmarole that the original Mother did, where the 9th child summons the powers of the Guardians that came before. I found this form to be all about damage, 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 do as much damage as you can, because not all of these boss attacks are equivalently easy to dodge. So forcing the 9th child through its forms as quickly as possible limits its time in forms that you have difficulty dodging. But hey, no one's perfect. And it took me like 22 odd attempts, even with all of my ridiculous decked out firepower. And by the way, if we want to mention tedium in taking attempts on the final boss, here's an example. You have to use all the mantras to activate the final boss fight. But then you have to switch out to the Sun and the Moon mantras in order to make the third form vulnerable. And then you have to de-equip the Mantras app in order to get all of your tablet's memory available so that you can re-equip your combat buff apps. So it results in a fair bit of micromanaging your menu. Thus falls the clone of the mother. And yeah, for the sake of not getting a Kaizo end and having my face stomped off for something that I would never have seen coming, you're supposed to use the Beheret after defeating the ninth child. I don't know why, and I don't care. Aside from Zelpid's, mansion getting shattered, what are we witnessing exactly here? So the core spirit of the ninth child charges into the heavens and dies up in space, I guess. Is there going to be a La-Mulana 3? Maybe even Naramura himself doesn't know yet. Now run, Lumisa. The ruins crumble and no one cares. You must flee. Flee, save your own skin. I wanted to go up to the tent and check on Mulbrook and make sure she gets out safely, but I kind of screwed that up. I just hoped and prayed that she would make it out on her own. She's pretty dexterous and deft, right? So she should be okay, I hope. Hey, your deadbeat dad and granddad aren't that bad after all. Thanks, dudes. By the way, why did you keep running from me every time I saw you? Are you aware of how many trillions of times I died in there? I could have used your help. Dicks. Anyway, yeah, that's the end. But after I showed this to GMA, he mentioned, did you go back and talk to the Fairy Queen? And I was like, no. GMA says, okay, well, that means she dies. And I'm like, crap. Okay, I don't want her to die. I'll go back and do it again. On my second time attempting the escape sequence, I also came across the placard of the ninth child. Doesn't really matter, but it's cool to see the portrait art, I guess. I'm cutting out here some of the more irritating sections of me flailing around in water or falling into spike traps repeatedly. Oh no! The noodle ghosts killed the Fairy King. Those bastards. Yeah, I'm sorry, Freya. I got here like a second too late. And for some reason, this orange chest was openable the second time I came through here. And it gives me completely aesthetic Valkyrie armor? I mean, it looks cool, I guess. So, that's it. I'm calling it. I'm wiping my hands of this affair. That completes my first run of La-Mulana 2. And I'm sure I'll come back later and do things more honestly without the gun on the more difficult boss encounters, and I'll upload a compilation of that. Ah, man, though. My spirit has been thoroughly destroyed. It is quite obvious that Naramura is far better at making games than I am at playing them. Like, this is the part of the LP where I would usually try to give a rating. I would give a review. I'd say, was it good? Was it bad? Did we like it? Did we dislike it? And on the question of good versus bad, I don't know. I have no clue. Like, the mental tools that I use to analyze the quality of a game are completely inapplicable here. Like, the sole reason that La-Mulana games exist is that they defy our ordinary paradigms of what's supposed to be acceptable, especially in puzzle logic and game progression sequencing. So I don't know. I don't know if we could call this good or bad. Really, I'm completely clueless. Like, if I were to dredge up one critique, probably it would be that this game way over-relied on mantras and mantra combinations. But is that even a valid critique? When the whole point of these properties is that they're supposed to make you feel like a stupid moron who should feel ashamed for even playing them? I don't know. I'm completely overwhelmed. I have no idea what to think. And now I'm just glad that it's going to be at least another 6 years before I have to do this again. I don't even know if Naramura wants to make another game like this. Who knows? The credits go by, and I wonder if we should call them credits or if we should call them scrolling blame. I am not sure. No, I know what you're thinking. Don't do it. Oh, you bastards! You saved my life once, and you think you can run off with the greatest treasure in the world. Well, I'll show you. Haha! That's right, Lumisa is better than her parentage. Run towards the sun, Lumisa. Run! Take that godly treasure with you. Oh, 65 gameplay hours. Ugh. I look at that number with a mixture of pride and disgust. Like how a brand new mother must feel upon seeing the bloody little human goblin that came out of her body. Ugh. And then there's some post-credits vignettes of Lumisa and her friends going around to explore more ruins. That's fine. But that is all from me. I am done with this game for now. Thank you for watching Usually Dead playing La-Mulana 2. Oh, I need to go find the shattered pieces of my soul and see if I can glue them back together. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, and there was the La-Mulana 1 randomizer that Kefit suggested. I should really try that at some point.